Midnight Cowboy. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. Uh, Top 20, maybe even top 10 favorite movies. So, I mean, I probably won't be able to go too in depth with this review, just because there's so much I like about it and so much I can't express with how much I love it, which is such. It's always the most frustrating thing when you really love a movie and you really want to kind of go on the mountaintop, convey to the world how much you love it. But this is a movie I've watched over and over again on VHS, DVD. Now I have the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray looks fantastic, and this is a Best Picture winner of 1969. Jon Voight as Joe Buck. Dustin Hoffman as Rizzo. Um, just a classic, absolute classic. I love this movie so much. Kind of what the movie sort of, in its own symbolic way, kind of represented was the turning of the time. The kind of the loss of the Western movie, basically, where being a cowboy wasn't really an in thing anymore, I guess. So kind of like this is going to be the weirdest comparison you'll ever see. Or ever hear, and I think other people have made this comparison, so I'm not going to take credit for it. But it kind of makes the same kind of symbolic statement as Toy Story does, where within this passage of time, interest swayed from the cowboy picture to the science fiction picture. And you kind of see that right in the very first section of the movie, where it shows the empty theater, where you kind of hear like the cowboys and Indians noises, as if like this thing of the past, like these ghosts, like you just hear like and then you hear yippee yow, and it's Joe Buck in the shower, and basically following his journey. And it's such a great character, Joe Buck. Jon Voight, how great is he in this movie? Still my favorite Jon Voight performance. I know he's an Oscar winner. He won for Coming Home, and he's he was in Anaconda, which is the best performance. But my favorite performance by Jon Voight as Joe Buck. Kind of this simple-minded but endearing character who just doesn't quite get it. So he moves from his small town to big old New York City, and in search of being a hustler, and kind of what his ideas. They show flashbacks. And it's a great way how they kind of develop the character in the flashbacks. Like when he's traveling to New York, you see kind of what's happened in his life previously, his relationship with his grandmother, how women have been like this important kind of role in his life, and with his girlfriend, you're the best, Joe, you're the best. Like, so he kind of gets this idea in his head that he's God's gift to women or whatever. So he moves to New York to, in so many words, be a male prostitute, basically. And it doesn't quite work out how he expects it to. And he kind of leaves his ways of, just being I think he's just a dishwasher in the old restaurant. He doesn't want to go back to that. He feels he has more worth than that. And to us as the audience, he does. He most definitely does. And so when times are hitting hard, he's like, no, I will not do that no matter what. And he keeps coming he keeps on trying with the goal to be the hustler, to be the male prostitute. But as the generational past of this movie shows, cowboys aren't really the in thing, and women aren't impressed by that, and so he has quite a bit of failure. In one scene, the older woman, it's such a funny scene too, like, she's like an older woman in her 60s, whatever. He's like, well, money? She freaks out on him. What? It was so funny. In the other scene where he picks up a young man at the theater, which is actually Bob Balaban, and one of his earliest roles. So, not many actors can claim that in their debut screen performance that they went down on Jon Voight in a movie theater. But Bob Balaban can make that claim. Isn't that something? And again, kind of the other kind of like symbolic, subtle hint of it is that they're not watching a Western. What are they watching? They're watching a space movie, like a space adventure or whatever. Not that either of them are too focused on the movie, but whatever. Anyway, where the movie definitely takes its stride is when Joe Buck encounters Ratso Rizzo, played brilliantly by Dustin Hoffman. kind of like this street person, who tries to get him in good with the scene, basically, with the male prostitute ring. He's like, I'll represent you, and he's just great in his role. Another iconic role from Dustin Hoffman. Everybody knows that one scene. If you have never seen this movie, you've seen it parodied a million times. Where they're walking on the street and talking, and the car almost hits him. It's like, I'm walking here, I'm walking here. Great, I love it. He is so perfect in this movie. One of Dustin Hoffman's best roles. I think maybe it is my favorite from him still. So Midnight Cowboy is definitely still the best of both of them, in my opinion. And kind of what the movie is about. It's about their struggle, living in poverty, living on the streets, and trying to survive, trying to make it, and what their ultimate goal is to move to Florida, where the sun is shining through the cloudy rain, so to speak, as per the song. And the song in the movie is great. I love the song. I've listened to it a million times. I have the soundtrack. But anyway, and kind of like their encounters and their failures and successes, and Ratso's health issues as they become increasingly apparent and increasingly a problem for the duo. One of the encounters, one of the most, kind of, it is in a strange way, it is a triumphant moment of the film where Joe Buck is finally able to successfully bed a woman and get paid for it too. Amazing, as with the Sylvia Miles character, which she occupies 5 minutes of the movie. One of my favorite lines when Ratso falls down the stairs. She's like, "Hey, you fell. Hey, buddy, you fell." I don't know. I think that's funny. But she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, which is crazy because it's such a small role. Not since maybe like Judi Dench in Shakespeare in Love was such a small role recognized. I don't know if maybe she deserved it, but maybe it was a slow year or something. But I'm glad this movie got a little extra love. And kind of one of the scenes that kind of gets criticism of the movie, only because it dates the movie so badly, is kind of the scene where they're in the Andy Warhol-esque nightclub, and like all the trippy psychedelic movies playing, and all the lights, and everybody's passing around joint. Joe Buck's like, yeah, and whatever, and it goes on a little too long too. So I think that's kind of what people don't quite like about the movie, and this is completely a sidestep. But if you'll remember the movie Charlie with what was his name? Forget it. He won the Oscar for it. Plays Uncle Ben in the original Cliff Robertson. That movie where like they showed like this psychedelic kind of mind trip of him, like movies from the '60s. They're messed up, man. But anyway, so yeah, there's criticism for that scene. But everything else in the movie is just an absolute classic kind of story to it. And the scenery of New York, it's very bitter and very kind of grimy, but has a truth to it. It's a very, very cold, hard truth that the characters have to deal with. And essentially it is their relationship is what's on display for the movie. And in so many ways, I mean, it was directed by John Schlesinger, who is an openly gay figure. In so many ways, it is kind of their love story, sort of, but it's not like quite obvious as like something like Brokeback Mountain. But there's something between the two that they share this bond basically that they can't quite express, and more particularly like Ratso's character, where he has the fantasies of like running on the beach with Joe Buck, which it's kind of silly, but it still works. I don't know, and the ending, of course, is heartbreaking. But I won't give it away. Not for this review. I'm not going to go into detail about that. But it's great. Just an absolute classic. I mean, everybody knows the ending of this movie too, so maybe I should give it away. But I won't. Just in case you're not aware. But it's been parodied quite a bit too. Like on Seinfeld, I remember they did a parody of it, which was funny. But yeah, I mean, what can I really say about this movie? It is one of my all-time favorites. Again, it's hard to describe exactly why, but I love its style. I love the music of the movie. I love the two performances from Hoffman and from Voight. Absolutely stellar, and just again iconic acting from these two legends. They're absolute legends, and they're fully committed to the roles, and it is, you know, again, kind of shows like the symbolic passing of genres, and kind of the death of the cowboy movie, Midnight Cowboy. That's kind of what it's all about, and it's kind of super deep and profound or whatever. But I love the movie. I love it. One of my favorites. What can I tell you? Definitely deserved Best Picture in my opinion. I've seen this so many times, and I'll continue to do so. The Blu-ray looks great. Definitely, if you have not seen this movie, please, please, please watch it for my sake. So yeah, that's pretty much my review of Midnight Cowboy, and thank you for watching.